welcome to Hot Flash Mama Podcast. So today we're going to talk about something that is really personal. It's really private, and a lot of us do not want to talk about it. So I vote me. I'm going to talk about it. But first, I have a little disclaimer. I have a little bit of a cold, so if I cough or sneeze or anything like that, just ignore it for me, all right? Did you know that every time you eat, you should, after you eat your food and digest it, it should move through the system. You should have a bowel movement and eliminate shortly after consuming food. It's how our body is designed. I personally didn't know that, and I happen to know a lot of others that did not know that also. So today I'm going to show you 5 ways that you can eliminate, yes, I did mean that as a pun, to eliminate that problem in your life. But first, I want to share my story with you to give you a little background and probably make you laugh a lot. So I was diagnosed with lupus and fibromyalgia, and I decided through education and learning from other people that I needed to do a parasite and candida cleanse. However, before you start that type of a cleanse, they encourage you to do a general body cleanse so that you can open up the eliminatory channels of the body, like the liver, the lungs, the kidneys, the lymphatic system, the colon, which is really important, and the skin. And that will help you when you're doing a more in-depth, more individualized cleanse. So I got a general cleanse, and I decided to start it right away. So there were 2 bottles inside the box, and I took them out, and I started first thing in the morning. I took 2 pills from each bottle, and I did that again before bed. So I was taking 2 pills in the morning and 2 pills at night of each bottle. And after a few days, I started really having some success. As a matter of fact, it was a lot more success than I really wanted. So I called the company. I had been cramping and going to the bathroom way too much. So I called the company and I said, hey, I think I need to maybe adjust the cleanse. Can you help me? They were very kind and listened to me. And she said, okay, great. How are you taking it? Are you drinking plenty of water? And I said, yes, I'm drinking plenty of water. I'm taking 2 of each bottle in the morning and 2 at night. She said, pardon me, you're doing what? How are you taking the cleanse? And I said, well, I'm doing 2 of each bottle in the morning and 2 of each bottle at night. And I said, it's really starting to take its toll on me. I seem to be in the bathroom a lot more than I want to be. And when she got done laughing, she said, did you read the directions before you started? And I said, yeah, I said, take, 2 of the pills in the morning and 2 at night. Well, I was supposed to be taking 2 of the 1 bottle AM formula, the number 1 in the morning, and then taking 2 of the nighttime formula at night only, not twice a day for both. And that is an explanation as to why it was having such a crazy effect on my body. But I'll be honest with you, I had struggled from constipation my entire life, and I didn't know that was an issue. I had no idea that you needed to have a bowel movement every day, several times a day. I had no idea. My mother had always been constipated, and I had always been constipated. It ran in my family. I thought it was just a thing. That was the way the body worked in our family. But as I learned, had I not doubled up on that initially, I probably would not have had the same success. It may have taken that doubling up in order to get my body to start working regularly. So it was a happy mistake, I guess. I really think that I need to come up with some type of a clapping sound that I can insert for such special occasions as this. Okay, so now's the perfect time for me to let you know that anytime I talk about products or programs or something, I'm going to try really hard to share a link with you in the description so that it's easy for you to find. Now, with some of the products, I really hope that if you decide to try it, you definitely speak with your healthcare practitioner and that you are listening very carefully to all the instructions you don't want to make the same mistake that I made. So you want to make sure that you're really paying attention to instructions and people that can assist you with it. Because of all of my health problems over the years, I became very passionate. Again, I told you I studied to become a naturopath, and I became a certified nutritional consultant for the reason that I wanted the knowledge to help myself. And now that I have learned and found some answers, I like to share those with you. I want to share with you some of the reasons that our bodies tend to rebel, I guess you could say. It's not really our body's fault. It's actually our fault. And I'm going to share with you some of the things that can cause a constipation or sluggish bowels so that you can maybe look for that. Maybe it's not just you, but maybe it's somebody in your life that you know that struggles with it. And maybe you should talk about it. There is a little book that's called, a kid's book actually, that's called Everybody Poops. And when I saw that one day actually saw it in a health food store, I was like, I don't know. Not everybody poops as often as they should. And I thought we as adults need a book, something similar to that. There are so many things that can prevent the body from eliminating properly. It can be because of medications. There are some pain pills out there and even muscle relaxers that can actually cause constipation. There are stomach acid neutralizers, which can prevent our body from digesting and breaking down food properly. You could be dehydrated. You could be deficient in fiber. Maybe you're not getting enough exercise. Some of those things are really important, and I will share with you some tips on those in a little bit. But identifying some of the things that are stopping you up can be important. One of the biggest thing in my life besides dehydration was that I was suppressing from a young age. I was suppressing my body's urge to go to the bathroom. I actually believe I basically got it from my mama because as my mom, when she was little, they lived in northern Montana and it was extremely cold. When she was young, they had an outhouse. So if she had to go to the bathroom, she waited. She waited as long as she possibly could. So I, as a child, we didn't talk about going to the bathroom. I didn't have a book that said everybody poops. We did it when we needed to, and I suppressed my urges to go to the bathroom. And just like any other of the body's promptings, you can suppress the urge to go to the bathroom, and that can lead to some real serious issues. It's really no wonder I developed autoimmune diseases in my lifetime at such a young age because I just was not eliminating all the toxins in my body. If you think about it, we can suppress our body's signals that they send to us with a lot of different things. Water is a big one. People can just suppress their body's need for water and hydration by either sipping on a soda or maybe just ignoring it. And after a while, our body just gives up sending us signals. It can do that with the bowels. It can do that with hunger. A lot of girls that suffer from anorexia, they've suppressed the urge to eat. They've desensitized themselves to that urge to eat for so long that their body just doesn't send signals anymore. We can do that with a lot of things, and having bowel movements is one of them. The way our body works, when we smell food, it immediately starts the digestive process. Our stomach starts to growl, our mouths start to water, they start the process of producing the amylase so that we can prepare to digest our food. These are all just little signals that our bodies send us to let us know what it's doing. So one of the biggest things that we can do, and immediate things that we can do to help our body better eliminate and cleanse itself, is to increase our water intake. As a rule of thumb, we need to have half our body weight in ounces of water every single day in order to function optimally. Now, what that means is if you weigh 150 pounds, then you're going to cut that number in half and have 75. You're going to make that ounces versus pounds because nobody wants to drink 75 pounds of water in a day. And that is what they claim to be an optimal amount of water that is adequate for the body to do all the functions that it needs regularly. Now, that does not qualify as Diet Coke or milk even. We're talking just plain clean water. Imagine if you had to take a shower without water, or if you had to do your dishes without water. Water is essential. It is something that we cannot survive but just a few days without. And unfortunately, so many of us are slowly killing our bodies by not drinking enough on a regular basis. When I was young, I would drink Dr. Pepper, but I would take 1 can of Dr. Pepper and that would last me all day long. And another reason why I suffered from constipation and health issues. I obviously had a lot of bad habits that I had to unlearn as an adult. Okay, number 2 is exercise. And the reason why exercise is good for the bowels especially is because of the movement and because of the muscles, because the muscles are what stimulate the peristalsis of the colon. And it is something that if you're weak in your muscles, it's going to have an effect on your body. And that is going to lead me into number 3, which is fiber. Fiber is really important. So the peristalsis of the colon is when the colon, actually, the walls of the colon, they contract and relax, and that's how they move things through the colon. If there's nothing of substance to grab onto to move the stuff through the colon, your fecal matter basically, you're going to struggle with having that be an effective way of having a bowel movement. So you're going to need to have some fiber in your diet. You can do that through food. You can do that through adding in a few grains. I'm a big fan of taking a flax meal and grinding it, flax seed that is ground up, and sprinkling that on top of foods or adding it into foods. If I make a meatloaf recipe instead of using bread, I prefer to use ground flax seed. It's called flax meal. Very inexpensive. It's a great way to add fiber to your diet. And flax is a little nut, so it has a little bit of a nutty flavor to it. And you can actually sprinkle it on top of salads. There's a lot of ways you can get flax meal into your diet. You can also eat a lot of vegetables that are high in fiber. That's great. And if you're just somebody who is looking for some type of a solution that doesn't involve that, you can take fiber in a capsule. Now, I am not a fan of psyllium is okay, but I'm not a fan of a lot of the corn-based things that dissolve in water and you can't even see that it's in there. I'm suspicious of that. I don't mind a psyllium fiber, but I do prefer a flax fiber because it's insoluble and soluble, so it can kind of do a little scrubbing on the lining of the intestines, so it can actually give it a good cleanse. And while we are talking about the peristalsis of the colon and grabbing, and that's why we need the fiber, I want to talk about a few stimulants that you can take that are actually considered natural, and they are natural. They're actually from the earth, but one is called senna and one is called cascara sagrada, and they're herbal concoctions that can actually work on the central nervous system to stimulate the peristalsis of the colon, which, if you ask me, is not a great thing. Your body can become dependent on it. And if you need it as an emergency, then by all means, you can take it. But if taking it every single day is not really a great plan of action. You really want to help your body, assist your body in doing things as naturally as possible, which leads me to a solution possibly, and that is your magnesium. A magnesium supplement is really important to the health of your colon. And the reason for that is calcium is very prominent in the body. We take a lot of calcium. Sometimes we take supplements, and they always warn that if you take more calcium than magnesium, it can cause constipation. You see, calcium is the mineral that tightens and can constrict. It causes a tightening. And the magnesium, as you research, you can find that it relaxes. It relaxes the muscles, and it can be a great complementary thing to take with calcium. You actually can't absorb calcium as well without magnesium. So calcium tightens and constricts. magnesium relaxes. That is what our heart does to beat. Our heart is contracting and pumping the blood. That's what our bowels do to move things through. It tightens, relaxes, it tightens, relaxes. So we need that magnesium to relax the bowels. And a lot of times that can do the trick on its own. I love a product called Calm. It's a magnesium powdered supplement that you take before bed. And a lot of people really love it because not only does it help with sleep, but it can help with leg cramps even. It can help with just relaxing the body so you can get into a deeper sleep. But it also helps with the peristalsis of the colon. And a lot of times people have a nice result from that by morning. Now there's another product. So let's say that doesn't quite do the trick for you. There's another great product that I like, and it's actually this part of the second part of the cleanse that I had told you about in the very beginning of this episode. It is called Cleanse More, and it also has magnesium in it. It has magnesium. It also has Cape aloe, has a lot of ingredients in there. It pulls water actually into the colon to give it a little bit of a flush. So you will notice that your bowels might get a little loose when you use this. And it's not something that you want to take every single day. It's better if you can do it all naturally with the fiber and the water intake. But it's great to help if you can't get that going, and it doesn't tend to work on the central nervous system like the other herbs that I had talked about. They say last but not least, and in this case, it's actually true. Even though I'm mentioning this last, it should really be right up in the top. It is probiotic. Probiotic is essential for good bowel movements and good colon health. It is a good bacteria. They reside in the intestines, especially in the colon, and it helps to keep your immune system healthy. It does so many incredible things, but it also keeps us regular. Probiotics also help us to absorb our nutrients. We do absorb our nutrients in the intestines, which is kind of scary because if you think about people that are constipated, that have been holding it in for way too long, their stool is little tiny. They call it rabbit sized. And if you think about it, that is because that has been sitting in the colon so long that it has continually pulled water. It's been processed in the intestines over and over again. The body is looking for nutrients, but it's not getting nutrients. It's getting what should have been eliminated. So I hope this little podcast has been helpful for you. As you know, I struggled with everything that I talk about just about and constantly looking for all the information. If there's anything that you want to hear a podcast on, or if you have questions or feedback, you can reach me at help@hotflashmamapodcast.com. And I would love to hear from you. Thank you for tuning in. And as always, I will meet you here next week.